Hey there, it's Jennie Wolek with the Wolek Group here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Keller Williams Realty. I love talking with my super smart agent friends, and Josh Anderson, you've got to be the smartest one I know, that's for sure. So I'm excited to
Probably.
bring back my agent success secrets. In the early days, I was interviewing top agents across the country, and I'm like, why did I stop doing that? So diving back into continual learning and growth in this business, we have had some change up in our real estate market. And so I thought I'd bring back friends who may have some insight into this new market. So Josh, tell everybody who you are, where you are, what you do, and all that stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Josh Anderson. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Been in the business since 2006. So I've been through a couple different shifts of different sorts. We have a team of 12. I know I was trying to think of what the number is right now. And most of our business is some type of sphere, some type of past client referral, agent referral. And so we're kind of high touch compared to like doing internet leads and things like that. And I'm happy to share what we're doing right now, what we're struggling with, what I think agents should be doing, because I think it's a lot more of the kind of boring basics that Gary always talks about. We're seeing it needing to be 2 or 3 times the amount of phone calls. And I think it's also a lot less on conversion. And I don't know that it's going to change back like it was maybe before COVID. We're seeing conversion rates just a lot lower than it was.
So let's dive into that. Let's just get to it. So, you mentioned that you're mostly sphere or referral based business. And I know that should be everyone's dream and goal. And if you're doing the same thing you've been doing, but not getting the same results you used to get, what are you really encouraging your team to do to get that business?
Yeah. So, well, I think I've always kind of wanted a sphere business. And I think with that, sphere business is kind of hard right now from the perspective of, a lot of our sphere is maybe happy where they live. We saw a lot of people that were maybe needed 1 or 2 more rooms in their home during COVID. But generally speaking, it's just a different conversation today than it was 5 or 10 years ago with regard to interest rates being double what they were 15 months ago or 12 to 15 months ago. And so that's one piece of it. A lot of our sphere is like maybe on their third or fourth house. And so they're not moving. They love their neighborhood or their general location. And to recreate that deal is tough. So a lot of what we're doing is it's probably not working with as much of our sphere right now as it is like referrals from our sphere. And then we are working with a lot of agent referrals from around the country of people that are moving to Middle Tennessee. So we work about an hour around Nashville, and it's interesting how much it's changed of like where people within Middle Tennessee are going. For example, we're seeing a lot more people move to Sumner County, which is east of the city. And we've never had so many people move there, which you can get a lot more for your money there than you can in somewhere like Brentwood, which is just south of the city. And schools are best in Williamson County, which is Brentwood, but Sumner County's got the second best schools.
So let's dive
So
into
it's,
that.
yeah.
So the database, the clients aren't necessarily making a move right now. They're good, all that. And so how are you finding business in today's market?
Yeah, I think we're having to turn over a lot more rocks. I mean, I think it's calling some of our new and our older than we would maybe normally call seller leads, for example. I mean, we're having to fight harder than we've ever fought before for listings. So I'm like looking at my listing board. It's like everything except for one property is under contract, and we've got things in the pipeline. They're just not on the market quite yet, and so it's doing more open houses. We've been picking people up from open houses. We've been better about sign calls. I mean, we've always converted from listings, always at least one buyer, but we're doing a better job, and we're having to be more purposeful about answering the phone quicker And I think the touches have to be more frequent. So I don't know that we've shifted a whole lot on what who we're talking to. It's more about like quality and frequency. So quantity and quality of touches.
So let's go into that. So you mentioned that you may not have as many seller leads or opportunities, but so we got to go back and nurture them and convert them. We share a coach, and that's exactly what we talked about on our call today. So what are the areas of your lead generation that if you just improved on them, even 10%, that could increase 30+% of your business? What would your answer to that?
So I just came back from Gary's mastermind in Austin. And I think the one thing we talked about on day 2 was we spent a lot of time talking about database. And I think people get caught up in like throwing everybody on just one generic newsletter or one big drip campaign. I think we have to tear all that stuff apart on a yearly basis, not to get rid of it, but to determine whether it's still relevant and valid. And so one of the big things we talked about was, I don't think we necessarily need more frequent touches to our database. I think we need higher value touches. So like, are you writing handwritten notes rather than sending an email? Are you really truly checking in and doing the care calls? And I know these are all super basic things. And I also know that value is something completely different to everybody. And I think that's a struggle, is what does value mean to the people in our database? For example, I've got one family that I work with I work with all the siblings. And I think if I went to each of them, value something different, even though they share DNA and they're the same, basically similar humans. And I think value is completely different for all of them. And so I think that's something that it kind of resonated with me, because I think we do a good job of separating out our different calls to action in our different newsletters. So like we have an agent specific newsletter, and that newsletter is really to keep us top of mind for Nashville. But it's also, when I think about what is of value to agents, and not everybody might agree, but I don't want your listings in your market, because unless I'm looking to buy an investment property or a second home there, that's not really a value to me that you're throwing me on a newsletter with all the people in town. So what we do for our newsletters, for example, for agents, is this is something that we're implementing in our business that's working well. It could be a giveaway, it could be a client event, it could be a meet and greet that we're doing today. We got a ton of people responding like that. They liked that idea. Like, we've never tried that before. In the last 4 months, we've gotten 1,100 resumes. So we're like, how do we get through all these? So we're going to I don't know. We don't know if it's going to work or not. We have 18 people that have RSVP'd. And it's just really kind of a shake hands, get to know them quick so we can go do a second meeting with them. And so, but with regard to the rest of our sphere, I just think we need to not throw so much crap at the wall and figure out, like, is that getting like a VIP intake form and really understanding, like, they have kids, they have dogs, they have anniversary days. Like, can we hit them at those times where, not very often you get a birthday card from somebody. I mean, I know it's a simple, pretty low level touch, but somebody like, an agent sent me a birthday card today, and my birthday's tomorrow. And it's like, I called her and then I texted her and I said, thanks for the card. She had it automated. She probably didn't even know that she sent it out. She had it automated through send out cards. And I was like, hey, Tina, thanks so much for the birthday card. I appreciate you thinking of me. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't think she knew.
Yeah.
But it got me to respond.
Yeah, I love it. And, those are the simple little things that we take for granted, and it may mean a lot to your clients or your agent database as well. I want to shift gears real quick, because people may get the opportunity to generate some seller leads, future listings, and the name of the game is seller listings taken, and we're down. Are you down?
Yeah. And the interesting part is, everybody in Gary's mastermind group that I talked to, everybody's down. And it's not like 5% down. It's not 10% down. They're like 30, 40, and 50% down.
So we've got the awareness that everyone's down. Okay. So we push that aside and we go, now what can I control, and how can I generate more and create urgency for those that I talk to. So when you get a chance to talk to a seller, a potential seller that would work with you, what does that sound like about they're on the fence, they're not sure when they want to sell or if they want to sell? What does that sound like?
I think it's talking through all the different angles and all the different, I think a lot of times consumers, property owners think that we're just calling to get a listing. And I think it's like, look, there's been a lot of times that I've talked myself out of listings because I truly didn't think that it was the right thing for them to do based on the conversation. And I think that comes back to us tenfold. Hopefully it comes back to us. And so, but it's also like, okay, is this their home or is this an investment property that they're coming to sell? Right. Okay. It's an investment property and he doesn't want to sell it for the price that he can get in today's market. Okay. Would he be a buyer? Would he pick up another one of those properties? And so it's just working on, I think agents see somebody come in as a sign call and they automatically are like, oh, he's a buyer. And they don't even say, well, do you have other properties to sell? What are your goals? And that was a big thing. I was sitting in on before Gary's mastermind, I was sitting in on Dan Ahara's KW Planner. And, he works with a lot of financial advisors and trust attorneys and probate attorneys. And, that's the thing is like, does it make sense when you have a probate deal? The siblings just want to sell their property and they want to get their money, but they're also going to pay a ton in taxes on it. Does it make sense to just sell that property? Have they thought about a 1031? Have they thought about putting in, a Delaware statutory trust that they can do X, Y, and Z? Or do they know about accelerated depreciation, cost segregation? And so there's just like, it's having all those conversations, and some of them don't even know. Most agents don't even know what questions to ask because they're so singularly focused on setting an appointment.
I heard you say something. You said what I was hearing you say is first off, you just need to be educated in our profession. And that allows you to then ask great questions that then can allow them to get past any maybe fears or concerns that they would have, right?
I think it's a big struggle that like we really aren't the economist of choice. Most agents aren't so up to date on their market numbers and like being able to talk high level that they just are realtors. They're just agents selling a property. And people aren't coming to us because we haven't conveyed our actual value. And that takes a lot of time. I mean, it takes lunches and coffees and making sure that they know, like one of the things we're doing is we're going to go out to all of our clients and talk more about investment properties and wealth building. And wealth building is something that everybody should be somewhat concerned about. We're going into a recession and we need to keep cash on hand, but we also need a certain amount of cash flow, and maybe not just from your job, your day to day. Like, how do you take that money from your day to day and how do you multiply it into something else where you get paid on other things?
That's exactly where I was going with leading you, but you are going there anyway. So
sorry.
Good job. Was the whole part about, as you're talking with these people, when you're asking great questions, maybe you're the buyer. And so many of our agent friends are so singular, like you're saying, that they are just going to make a small commission on that sale versus the future opportunity. So how has your wealth building been going? Did you start off in real estate, just already owning lots and lots of properties, or?
No. And I, just like everybody, missed probably 50 opportunities because I was so busy being the listing agent.
Right.
And being concerned about having a sign in the yard and getting 3% rather than going back and looking at that deal and being like, damn, that was a really good deal. Like, should have bought that. And you could probably say that about every property before like 2020, right? I mean, our market went up since 2020. Our market's gone up 50 or 60%. Right. So most people can't say that about any stocks, or their 401k probably hasn't gone up by 60% in the last 3 years. And so we're just not educating people enough, and we're not explaining to them wealth building isn't about just real estate. It's just a piece of the puzzle. And can we help them buy a property? Like, all of us should be giving our clients the MREI book, or some kind of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or whatever it is. I think people's first house or their current house is potentially their best first investment property. because you have a preferred interest rate on it. You know everything about the house if you've lived in it for more than a year or two. So you know all the quirks, you know what might potentially come up if you have renters. And most people just think, well, I have to sell this house to take the equity out of it to get to the next one. But do you really need it? And for a lot of people, yeah, maybe they do. But for a lot of people, they don't. They just need to come up with a plan, and they need to have a team around them that actually shows them how they can keep that property and go buy another without having to compromise.
Yeah. Well, I know you've got a great document, and we'll share that with everyone in the comments of your 25 ways to build wealth. And I think so many people think there's so much insight and awesome tips on there. But for today, we're going to have to wrap this up. So how can people best find you so they can connect and follow?
Facebook, Instagram. I would give them Rebecca's email address, but she might not like that.
No.
Yeah, Facebook or Instagram. Find me, message me.
That sounds great. And we'll talk to you real soon. And thanks for all your secrets that you have shared.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.